Welcome to Backstage Pass on the Boise Beat, where we peel back the curtain to reveal the heart and soul of the music scene. And today we're sitting down with the sensational Jordan Shaw, a country music artist who's been making waves with his unique blend of heartfelt melodies and compelling storytelling. Hailing all the way from North Carolina, now finding his home in Boise, Idaho, Jordan's journey is as captivating as his music. So buckle up and tune in as we dive into the world of Jordan Shaw, exploring the nuances of his artistry and the stories that shape his songs. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Backstage Pass on the Boise Beat. I'm your host, Gordie Tamayo, and today we are welcoming Jordan Shaw. If you haven't checked him out, by the end of this, you're going to want to go check him out. So, Jordan, thank you so much for joining us here today. How you holding up?
Oh, man, I'm good. Thanks for having me, Gordie. I appreciate
it. Yeah, for sure. You know, I got to cross paths with Jordan. It's been a couple months now, but I got invited to a birthday party, and they're like, yo, you got to come check out this guy, Jordan Shaw. He plays country music, and you just got to come check him out. And I was like, sweet. And I'm glad I did. Old State Saloon down in Eagle. You're going to be playing there this weekend. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, it'll be a good time.
So what can people expect if they were to pop in and get to hear a little bit of your music? Like, describe it for me if you could.
Oh, man. Oh, shoot. First off, good question, brother. You'll hear a lot of my original songs. A lot of those kind of come from, I try to fuse what I would say is like traditional 90s country things. I'm a product in the 90s, and so a lot of that definitely inspires my writing. And you'll hear some of that sound in there too, especially on some of my more upbeat original songs. But I also blend in, I'd say like every original, I try to do a cover that you folks seem to know, man, or it's pretty well known. And so like you'll hear, some of those like kind of classic 90s country songs as well as older country, some of the new country, man. And if it's kind of one of those vibes of I try to, in every show that I do, every single one of them ends up being somewhat different. And in fact, I kind of at the point now, I used to, when I was just getting started, I would have like a definite set list for every single show that I did. And I would stick to that. And that was it, man. And but now that I've been doing it a little while, I don't even really have a set list, man. I'll kind of know what I know and try to feel out who the crowd is, what the crowd wants. Work the originals in when I can. Just kind of try to facilitate a good time for everybody, man. So what I always tell folks is that if you've ever been to Nashville, Tennessee, go into like a writer's round or even a bar on Broadway or something like that. If they still have the single acoustic singer guy, a lot of them are full bands now and stuff, but it's a very similar vibe to that, to where you're gonna walk in, man, you're gonna hear songs, you're gonna hear some songs that you've never heard before, and overall, hopefully folks feel engaged with, and they feel like they're a part of the night, and I'm not just singing words in their face, that kind of thing. So
no, I can totally relate to what you're talking about, because that actually was my first encounter with you. We were just sitting there. You came walking around after you had posted up your guitar, I believe, and you were just kind of saying hi to people, saying what's up, and I went up and introduced myself, shook your hand, and then the first thing that you asked me was, well, what do you want to hear? And you asked me the question of what I want to hear. That kind of caught me off guard, because you don't typically get that or hear that, right? But you were reading the crowd, right? You were deciphering who you're playing for.
Absolutely, man. And what I found is that it just makes it more fun for everybody. Like I never, like I said, when I started out, I was definitely the guy to kind of just like, this is what I do and this is what you're going to hear, and I don't really care where you're at. And it's not like that was my heart. Like I had good intentions, but I just didn't know, man. I was learning. And that now that I've been doing it a few years, I've definitely learned that it is way more fun for folks in the room as well as myself. When, man, we're like playing songs that we're all on the same wavelength about. And I'm now even to the point, man, especially, if I've had if the night's gone on a little bit, I've had a shot or two or whatever, I'm feeling comfortable, folks are feeling comfortable. Someone brings a song, even I feel like I half know, and I need to pull up the lyrics for real quick. I've found that even if I can give them a verse and a chorus, or something, or make an effort, it I've found that it means a lot to people.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of one of those things that shows like, hey, hopefully like, hey, I genuinely care about what you want to hear. I genuinely
Mm.
care about you having a good evening, not
Right.
just, here's my stuff, hope you like it, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a unique experience for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
I think looking at it from that lens, you're talking about the customer experience, in a from a marketing term, I guess you could say, or the business realm, right? You're saying the
Yep.
customer experience matters to you, and you're doing everything that you can to craft that, to create that for them.
1000%. Yep, 1000%.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, hey, originally hailing from North Carolina, like what made the jump to Boise? I haven't really heard that story from you or anybody else yet, but
For
what
sure.
caused you to make the jump from North Carolina to Boise?
Dude, that's kind of a long story that I am going to consolidate and condense for you just in
Sure.
respect to your time. But long story short, brother. So I cut my teeth singing worship and gospel music.
Okay.
Growing up in the South, man, and I grew up in church, and in
Mhm.
fact, I feel like a lot of country singers
Mm.
did that. That's kind of how
Mhm.
they sang country and they sang gospel music, and
Mhm.
and so I was definitely one of those. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, when I was 18. Man, I wanted to go into full time ministry, and so there was a kind of there was a large church down there that had this ministry school, and I got into that, and I did that for 2 years down in Atlanta, and then the whole point of that is that you graduate there, and then you go do something in ministry, right? And
Mm.
you
Mhm.
kind of enter into that world, and so they
Yeah.
have a lot of connections, and there was this church that was trying to get started in Southeast Boise that needed a music director,
Mm.
like a guy to sing their songs, lead the worship kind of thing. And so they reached out, man, and I felt called to do it. And so they flew me out to visit, and I fell in love with Boise. And
Mm.
I did that about just over a year, spent just over a year. And this was I moved here in June 2016. Left there probably like September, October 2017. And,
Mhm.
there's a business side to church,
Sure.
and not every church makes it.
Mhm.
Just like a lot of startups and businesses don't make it. So they didn't end up making it. However, everybody that was involved, from what I can tell, is off doing really good things. It's been, 7 or 8 years or whatever it is. And so,
Mm.
however, when they shut their doors, I wanted to stay.
Mm.
Man, I love, like I said, Idaho kind of became a home away from home for me, man. I love the outdoors, and I don't know, man. I just kind of felt like I belonged here. I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
here, and so I was singing. I was kind of singing country music for fun, like strictly for fun, and to be honest with you, wasn't very good at it. But this gal named Desiree Bronson, who lived here for a number of years and did country music here locally for a number. Well, not just locally. She was doing quite a bit in Nashville as well. She kind of took me under her wing, and like I played guitar for her. Man, she'd encourage
Mm.
me to sing some of my original songs when I didn't really even want to.
Yeah.
Um, she helped develop me in my writing and things like that, and I was kind of working odd jobs, making ends meet, and then one day I just kind of realized, like, man, you know what? I was also singing in another church for a little bit, but I just kind of realized, like, man, you know what? I love this country music thing, and I kind of want to see if I can do it full time.
Mm.
And so that literally that thought spot. I was just starting to pick up the phone and calling venues and kind of getting some more originals together and learning some more songs. Like there was a period of time kind of building up to that where I was memorizing one song every day.
Mm.
And I probably got some 140, 150 songs memorized. Kind of
Wow.
that period of time, kind
Yeah.
of prepping for what I know I would need to be able to do. And I didn't want to use. I'm not the guy to put words up in front of me or use music and
Mhm.
things like that. I don't want to be tethered to that. So it's
Yeah.
kind of part of what that was. But dude, that's what brought me to Idaho and
Mm.
just my love for the state and my love for country music has kept me here. And so, or I
Yeah.
should say country music has allowed me to stay here. So
Yeah. That's cool.
um,
Yeah. What a
yeah.
story. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah, it's not want to share a ton, but and it's not that it's not that I wouldn't share it more, but most people don't know that about me. That
yeah.
I actually came out here for. I didn't come out here for country music initially, so
Yeah. But it's what's kept you here. It's what's kept you tethered to the place. It's
absolutely.
interesting. You mentioned the music's what kind of kept you grounded as a pillar in this area, at least for the time being, right? But when it
Yeah.
comes to the performance side of things, You know, you have certain things about you that you don't want keeping you restricted. For example, having the music right there in front of you, the words right there in front of you. Said, talk to me about the writing process that you go through for your original tracks then, because I'm imagining that you're one of those guys that doesn't like to be put in a box, so you might be stretching yourself a little bit in these different areas on constructing your music. Talk to me about the writing process, from the influences that you have
Sure.
to what you put yourself in that position to be able to go for it, you know, and create and craft something original.
Yeah, man, dude, I love that question. So I'm gonna, you know what, man, I don't have I'm not one of those guys with a set process. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those guys that brews a certain cup of coffee, sits down a certain time of day,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, opens up a book and reads a little bit first, and then draws inspiration, or
Yeah,
you know, sits down and tries to write. I'm not really that guy, man.
I
It's
could tell.
happened. A lot of my songs have come from a number of different ways, man. However, it always comes from an an emotional move in my soul.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is that the best songs that I write and the most authentic writing is when I feel something deeply. And
mm-hmm.
even if I don't end up telling that exact story,
Sure.
like those emotions and that just piece of my soul, that piece of experience will come out, you know,
Mm,
through the lyrics, and that melody will almost always match the feeling and the tone that I'm trying to convey.
yeah.
Um, because that's a lot of writing right there, man. You can have incredible lyrics, but you also have to write a melody that expresses what you want your lyric, like expresses the emotion of what your
Mm-hmm.
lyrics are saying.
Yeah.
Um, and those don't always have to match up. A really kind of practical example of that is, you ever heard the song, that Hey Ya song?
Yeah.
Well,
Outcast.
exactly, man. You
Mm-hmm.
read the words, you wouldn't think that melody would be one that he chose. You picked an upbeat
Mm-hmm.
melody, something really fun to kind of, actually something very somber topic. But so it doesn't always have to go like that. But 9 times out of 10, you want to pick a melody and pick music that really backs up your lyrics. And so it
Yeah.
always kind of so for me, it always kind of comes out of an emotional move of the soul. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then two, uh, almost always, and I found this is really key. I write and rewrite.
Mm,
Very rarely does a song of mine come out exactly the way that I want it, and that's it.
mm-hmm.
But what you don't want to do is
Mm-hmm.
stop writing because something doesn't feel just right.
Mm,
And so a lot of folks will get, what they call writer's block or things like that. And the numero uno way to avoid that being stuck is that
mm-hmm.
you just write through it, even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
like it, because
Yeah.
you can always come back to it and rewrite it.
Right.
And you can always come. And so, for example, there's a song. It's actually it's on my social media right now. It's on TikTok, it's on Instagram. Um, I it's now called Back to You and Me, but I posted a version of it. I was playing at a hot springs, singing just some verses we wrote on the spot. Like, it was
Mm,
just at this hot springs, wrote them right there. I had the chorus. And then when I took it home, I was like, you know what? Those verses don't really tie in as well as I'd like to. Let me tweak a few things there. And then actually those last two lines of the chorus, I want those to be a little bit stronger and say a little bit more. And rewriting it, and it is. And so what's on there is not where the song is now, and I'm about to
mm-hmm.
record a version of that and put
Yeah.
that out. And I'm not going to take off the other one,
Sure.
because I want people to see that process. As a
Mm,
really great song, sometimes they're written and rewritten. There's a story, "House That Built Me" by that Miranda Lambert sang.
mm.
Um, she may have had a piece of writing that song, but she didn't have much. That song, the idea of that song, was birthed years and years and years before the version that we heard came out, and apparently was
Wow.
rewritten several times over the
Mm-hmm.
years, several times where they could like, it wasn't quite right, something was right, until the version they landed on what's on the radio, or what was on the radio, what's now, and that's the one that Miranda heard and said, that's
Mm.
what I want to sing that song.
Wow.
Um, and so it's very commonplace, even in the Nashville community, to where you write and you write and rewrite until it says what you want it to say.
Yep.
And so that's kind of a big part of my writing process. I found that I don't ever want to be the guy that's married to a specific line, married to a specific lyric, married to the song has to be this way, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's artistry. It can,
Mhm.
you ideally you want it as good as it can be, but I probably don't define good like other writers do. My version, my version of success, my version of good is, man, does this really represent that move of the soul that I was talking about?
Mhm.
Experience,
Mhm.
authentic move of the soul, and does this
Yeah.
tell the story that I need the song to tell?
Mm.
Um, because if I don't feel emotionally connected to it, if I don't feel emotionally moved by the song, everyone else ain't.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
chances of them feeling moved by it are going to be are probably not going to be that great, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's just a couple things. So like, yeah, sometimes I'm the guy that sits down, dude. Yeah, I'm feeling something in here. I write it down. Something in it, it comes out, and maybe you send it to a co-writer, that kind of thing. It's pretty typical, stamped out process. But other times, man, it's feel this move the soul. I might just write down a few words,
Mhm.
hum into my iPhone voice
Sure.
memos, a little
Uh-huh.
melody or whatever, and um, see what that turns into later on.
Yeah.
Hell, I was running errands this morning and had a little idea for a melody, and I just got my iPhone out and voice memos and just hummed into it real quick. And I'll probably
Mhm.
revisit that later this week or something like
Yeah.
that.
One of the things that's standing out to me, and I think that this is correlates not just in the music arena where people are passionate about what they do, but passion in general. Like
Yeah,
it sounds like this thing consumes you in a way. You're consumed by music. You're constantly thinking about it. You're
a lot of
constantly
ways.
thinking if it's connecting to, like you said, the message that is moving your soul, and if this resonates to tell the story that you're wanting to tell. And I
Yeah.
think that's a marker of somebody that's after mastery of what they're doing.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
dude, I really appreciate you saying that, and I would agree, because I think you know, um, not that a song can't be heartfelt and written quick, because they
Sure.
absolutely can,
Hmm.
absolutely can. But um, I'm just not in this to write songs to a
Hmm.
number of quantity, man.
Hmm.
That's just not me. I'm not that guy. I'm not trying to be honest with you, dude. I'm not trying to get a bunch of music on the radio. I'm not trying to get a bunch of music out. This is just, I started singing because I like to sing.
Hmm.
I started
Yeah.
writing because I enjoy writing, and it's not really for anyone else but myself. But if others enjoy it, great.
Mm.
If they're part of, so it's I for a while, like especially in my when I was just getting started, I kind of got sucked into that. I don't want to call it like a rat race, but it's
Mhm.
just this mentality of like I need to write as much as I can and do as much as I can and post as much as I can, because that's what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And I was meditating one day and I kind of stepped back and went, but like, is that really what I want with my life? Is that really what I want to do, man? Is that really the kind of writer
Mm,
I want to be, the musician that I want to be? And it was like, no, that's not why I
mm,
started doing this.
right.
And so, all in all, I kind of got on a tangent there, but there you
No,
go.
no, yeah, I feel you. No, thank you for sharing the insight there. It did draw out a couple of things for me of just trying to understand exactly who you are as an artist and why you do what you do. And there's obviously, some depth to that. It's not like you said, it's not on the surface. You just want to bang out tracks and see however many people can hear it the most within this cycle. You're out there actually producing content because there's meaning behind it. You actually have a connection to it. And I think that people can appreciate that, especially when they know that you've poured your heart and soul into it, and then they can connect to it as well. There's a connection to it between them as well. You know,
Sure.
talk to me about the journey that you had up until this point in time frame, because you've obviously depicted a story of you kind of going through these seasons where you stepped into something you thought you might be going into, but then all of a sudden life happened, curveball, call it whatever you want, and you pivoted, you changed shit, you changed steps, and all of a sudden here you are in Boise, Idaho, now playing country music, and this is where you call home now. But
Yeah.
it wasn't all peaches and cream up until this point in time. Like, I'm sure that you had some moments where you're like, man, am I supposed to be doing this, or should I just hang it up, go back to punching the time clock, doing whatever like everybody else does? Talk to me about a moment, if you could, where you were going through that, where you just had to like really dig deep inside and determine if this was the route that you were going to take. Because at one point in time, you determined, hey, this is what I'm going to do. and I'm going to go all in. I'm going to start making those phone calls. I'm going to start getting the booking dates. Like, talk to me about that process you had to go through.
Right on, man. So first off, I resonate with that a ton, man. Like, I can't, if you asked, 21-year-old Jordan if he was going to be singing country music full time, living in Idaho, I would have been like, yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so, man. I'm probably going to be back in North Carolina, where my family's at, doing the church thing, singing, all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with this. Sure. It's just showing that, dude, sometimes life has other plans. Mm-hmm. And that word pivot is so important. There is an old friend of mine, man. He always used to say, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break." Mm. And that's always resonated with me in light of, you never want to hold on to life so close-fisted to where life has to break your hand to get you to maybe accept the better thing it's trying to give you. That's good. Because of our, limited sight or whatever. And so, for me to get a little deeper into the story, I told you. So I was working on jobs, also singing at this other church here, and like I kind of came to. I was 25 years old, and I kind of came to a point where I was beginning to realize I like kind of stepping into who I am as an adult. I am not your like picture perfect cookie cutter Christian guy. Mm-hmm. Like there were things about me that I realized, and I'm like, you know what? I don't fit this mold well. Mm-hmm. And I may have fit it when I was younger because that's how I was raised, and that's how folks were telling me who Jordan Shaw was. But as I started playing more country music and things like that, I realized, hang on, I don't actually think this is who I am. Like, I enjoy drinking every once in a while. I enjoy smoking every once in a while. There are little things, and if that's a religious issue for you, great, man. I respect that, but it's not for me. And so, in all that, there was some questions and some things I was kind of wrestling through in my faith that I like absolutely could not do in that context. And so, it was kind of on both sides. I think they saw that, and I was kind of experiencing that. And so we just decided, like, okay, I'm not going to be singing at church anymore. And I was kind of not fed up, but the odd jobs I was working here was not a career. And I know it was not something good. And so I moved briefly to Bend, Oregon. I had a couple friends out there, and I just needed a space. I'd been in Idaho for 4 or 5 years, something like that. I think 4 years at that point. And I just needed a space away from some of the relationships that I cultivated to kind of process that big question, like the two big questions: who am I, and what the hell do I want to do with my life? Yeah. And so I was working as a cashier at Safeway out there, and that a buddy of mine had a grower, and so I was working out there, kind of doing some trimming and things like that. And about a few months into that, I was on the phone with my dad, and I said, "Dad, man, I don't know. I'm still thinking about, like, I don't really know what God wants me to do, and I'm kind of wrestling with like things I'm not sure, what I should be doing right now." And I had a number of things I was looking at, number of what I may, career path that I may want to pursue, right? And he just kind of laid it out plainly, man. He said, "Well, Jordan, what do you want to do? What do you want to do, man?" And I never really, and as simple and as silly as that sounds, I never really thought about it like that.
Sure.
Never thought, what do I want to do? And I just kind of on the phone said, "Well, I really enjoy singing country music." And he's like, "And you're good at it. You should do something with it. Try it." He's like, "Worst comes to worst, you fall on your face, you can always come back home. We got you. But give it a shot. What do you got to lose?" And I was like, not a lot. And, I got a 8-year-old, at the time, like a 6-year-old German Shepherd pup. And he's like, "Gunner will be all right. He's flexible. It's not like you got a wife and kids you got to provide for. You take the shot, man. See what you." And so that's kind of when I started. I battened down the hatches then and started memorizing those songs. really crafting my writing, coming up with like a show, so to speak. And then I just picked up the phone and started calling, and that was a big pivot in my life. That was a big moment.
Mhm.
Of it was a shift in identity,
Yeah.
and the identity shift didn't go from, you know, guy who sings in church to guy who sings country music. The identity
Mhm.
shift went from guy who, you know, sings in church, at least in my mind mentally. That's a big part of my identity, to, you know what, a human being doing his best daily
Mm.
to love others well, love himself well, serve others well, you know, and steward well day by day, like, you know, what was put in my path.
Yeah.
At the time, it was making this shift, right? And now it's country.
Mhm.
That's other things. I also do school, things like that. So it was you know, the lesson was, I no longer take my identity in things that I do. I take identity in what's going on in here, what's going on in the
Mm.
soul, what's going on in the heart.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
yeah,
hear well, that's good. Thanks for sharing that. You know, what it's speaking to me is there was this pivot wasn't just a pivot in direction of what you're doing tangibly or functionally. It was in responsibility. Like you were taking responsibility for your life and what you want to do in the direction that you want it to be aimed at versus what are they saying that I should do? What happens to me haphazardly, etc. So even though you're not a guy who looks at processes the same way, like you said, there that was kind of a process, you know. You're like, hey, I'm gonna take charge, I'm gonna do something about it. You got the encouragement from your pops who was like, hey, you're good at this. What do you got to lose? You're young, you got a dog. Like, really,
totally,
why are you overthinking this? Just do it.
100%, man.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's
Yep.
cool. You know,
Thanks.
in your most recent projects that you got, or to date, I would say, because you've obviously penned a few tracks, even though it's not a race for you here, but you have to have some favorites or a favorite that you've penned, and talk to me about what that is, like, and why is it? Why is it the favorite track that you've penned to date?
Totally, man. You know what? That song I was telling you about, that I wrote a few weeks ago,
Uh huh.
finished up a few weeks ago, that "Back to You and Me" song. That's
Uh
my
huh.
favorite song I've ever
Really?
written. Absolutely. I've
Hmm.
just started singing it at shows. It's slower. It's more heart. It's heartfelt, and that's what I love about it, man. And it's I kind of wrote it about, I was dating this girl for a little while, and we didn't work out, man. And that's all fine. That's all great. But there are moments after you, you know, exit a relationship with someone, that you kind of maybe second guess yourself,
Sure.
or second guess the situation, and go, well, or you remember the really good things,
Hmm.
right? While you're kind of processing through that. And it was kind of one of those emotional soul moves for me. I was just remembering a lot of the good things that we experienced together. And I was like, man, you know what? Like, I kind of want to write about a longing for,
Hmm.
like, fixing things with that person, or maybe being better in the moment for that person, or things like that. So this idea for this idea of like going back to you and me, like
Hmm.
going back to that situation, kind of came about. So like the chorus goes like, what I'd give to travel back to you in my arms. I'd take back every piercing word, the things that broke your heart. I'd give up this old guitar and the boy I used to be if it would take us back to you and me.
Hmm.
And I just like, I really resonate with that, man.
Hmm.
You know, and it was, we didn't break up for anything crazy or anything like that, man. There was nothing, like, I don't think, super hurtful on either side, but um, the it's just a chorus and a melody that really resonates with my soul, and
Hmm.
um, it's like, I think that we've all been in a relationship where maybe we look back and go, or have looked back at times and go like, oh, what if this was different, or what
Sure.
if that was different, or what if I had done this little thing, you know, differently, or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man. So I'm really looking forward. I'm trying to actually just bought a recording mic. Here, I'll
Mhm.
kind of show you.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and a little
Nice.
setup for the house. I want to track that acoustic and vocal here
Oh,
um,
really? Okay.
very soon.
Right
Yeah,
on.
I've got a couple days off next week,
Hmm.
and I've literally got those. Like, as long as I stay in good health, man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna track that
Nice.
acoustic and
Nice.
just release it. That's
Nice.
my
Just
plan.
like
I'm
that.
not gonna do like Spotify, like pre-save, that kind of thing, dude. I'm probably gonna come up with some
Yeah.
artwork on Canva or something and just put it out.
Nice. Well, hey, I don't want to put you on the spot for this, but would you sing that little chorus, either just a cappella or with your guitar?
Yeah, dude, I'll sing it. I was
Yeah.
kind of hell, man. I was kind of hoping. Yeah. Let me grab the guitar real quick.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
She probably a little out of tune from the show. I ain't got her out yet, but
So good.
Let's see what we got. Sweet. You hear that all right?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. Just a country boy trying to get a little older, a little bit wiser, a little bit stronger, 'cause I found I fall short of what love takes. Been away from home for a little while now. Wish I can get back to you somehow. But growing up takes more than a couple days. And what I'd give to travel back to you in my arms. I'd take back every piercing word and the things that broke your heart. Yeah, I give up this old guitar and the boy I used to be. If it would take us back to you and me.
Yeah, I could tell why that's your favorite.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, like I could definitely hear the fact that you put your soul into writing that. So that's why I can tell. I know that that's
Thanks.
your favorite.
Oh, I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, it's one I definitely. And I did my best for not really warming up this morning, but it's definitely one I put my soul into, man. I really enjoy singing that song.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, no, it's totally. Thanks for jumping on board with me, bro. I appreciate it a ton. And where can people find you at if they want to know about upcoming shows that you got, social, etc.?
For sure, man. So right now I got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and a website.
Okay.
Pretty soon that's going to be Spotify, Apple Music, things like that. Particularly with that song you just heard. Again, I'm trying to put that acoustic vocal out like tomorrow, that kind of thing. But Jordan Shaw Country is the handle for every single one of those. So if you look up Jordan Shaw Country, all one word, that'll take you to it. The website, www.jordanshawcountry.com. And
Nice.
Every one of those has my schedule on it. I usually post for the month. So, for example, all of February is up right now. I'll be posting all of March here and probably a week or two, something like that. So,
nice. Right on.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you a ton, brother. I appreciate it.
Hey,
and
you bet.
we'll be sure to catch you soon.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. And for everybody else that's tuning in right now, you've just tuned in to Backstage Pass with the Boise Beat. I'm your host, Gordie Tamayo. Until next time.